My name is Big Time. And we're waiting for my co host. I hope she can join us about Chicago. And if you ever had any question that black men are a protected class, oh boy, we got a doozy for you this week. Discovered by Divested Zealot from CBS2 Chicago. We'll cover that. We'll also cover the Starbucks settlement in Philadelphia, where a white woman was fired basically because she was white. We'll watch the video of two black men who sat in a store, didn't buy anything, and they weren't allowed to use the bathroom. They were asked to leave. They refused. That's trespassing. The police were called. And then the one fact of the story that everybody leaves out, the police then asked them to leave. And a bunch of white people got in their feelings with their tampons up their ass. Oh, they didn't do nothing. Yo, the manager asked you to leave. You didn't buy shit. The police asked you to leave. You didn't do shit. They got arrested. And what happened? They got free college. Yep. Being black in America is easy mode in a video game. But before we go to that, let's talk about how multiculturalism isn't doing that well for for Pride. United States only Muslim majority town, Hamtramck, Michigan, bans Pride flags on public property. This is pretty simple. If another group of people leaves their country in a majority and they gather in a certain place, there is a very strong probability where they live will resemble, if they don't assimilate to Western culture and Western values. So, white, Anglo Saxon, Christian, whatever you want to say. There's a very strong possibility when they come here, it will resemble the place they left. For instance, I always ask people this question: you put 10 million Japanese people somewhere, does it look like Tokyo? Yeah. You put 10 million Mexicans somewhere, will it look like Mexico City? Yeah. You put 10 million Indians from India somewhere, will it look like New Delhi? Yeah. But if I take 10,000 Congolese and I put them somewhere, will it look like Africa? Well, no, see, because slavery and poverty and you see social economic. I don't get it. Anyway, the city does not want to open the door for radical or racist groups to ask for their flags to be flown, Hassan stated. Uh-oh, you got a brown guy telling Pride they can go shove it. Uh-oh, what you gonna do? Wow, really? So you're surprised the Muslim doesn't like homosexuality being proselytized to his children? That surprises you? Look, you have to pick. You either get the gays or the Muslims. You can't get both. You cannot bring third world fundamentalist Muslims to your country and then try to shove homosexuality down their throat. Literally, it doesn't work. On Tuesday, Hamtramck, Michigan City Council unanimously voted to ban pride flags from being displayed on public property. Located just outside Detroit, Hamtramck is the only Muslim majority town in the United States. The ruling was celebrated with cheers and applause inside City Hall, where dozens of concerned residents, Muslim and Christian, have shown up to express their thoughts on the matter. According to the Detroit Free Press, the resolution was introduced by Councilman and Mayor pro tem Muhammad Hassan and applies not only to pride flags, but also those promoting any religious, ethnic, racial, political, or sexual orientation group. Only the American flag and the nation's flags that represent the international character of our city shall be flown, Hassan stated, adding that it was imperative to maintain and confirm the neutrality of the city of Hamtramck towards its residents. I wish this was a white guy, but I'm going to take what we can get for now. Hassan argued that allowing pride flags to be flown on public property could lead down a slippery slope that ends with white supremacist and neo-Nazi groups asking for the same opportunity. But what if it was an Al-Qaeda flag? What if it was an ISIS flag? What if it was a Uyghur flag? I don't know if they have a flag. What if it was a Chinese flag? I wonder if he'd say the same thing about Ukraine. The city does not want to open the door for radical or racist groups to ask for their flags to be flown. I can understand that, but what I'm also going to say is if a person can have a pride flag, then somebody should be allowed to have a Nazi flag. Okay? We support Nazis in the Azov battalion in Ukraine. So clearly we don't have a problem with them. So in other words, as long as they do as they're told, we like them. But as soon as they don't do as they're told, we don't like them. During the hours of debate that took place at City Hall prior to the vote on Tuesday, many Muslim residents and elected officials explained that the resolution was not motivated by hate. Shouldn't even have to explain that. Noting that a large number of the board, so he's still weak, and commissions were made up of members of the LGBTQ community or allies, Mayor Amir Ghalib stated that his government's goal was to serve everybody equally with no discrimination, but without favoritism. Uh-oh. I'm sure he's going to lose his bank account. Those opposed to the resolution argued that not flying the pride flag was an act of bigotry and that it would harm the community's chances of attracting investments. Yes, that's right. I deserve more money. If you're into butt sex, you deserve more money and less taxes, right? At one point, a lesbian couple stood in front of the room and kissed, causing many Muslims in the audience to look away or start praying. Yeah, that's right. They don't like you, and they don't want your lifestyle in front of their children. I think that's amazing. But what are you going to say? All right. Let me reach out to Wicked one more time. See what's going on. Give me 1 sec. And I apologize. My internet is super, super slow. All right. So had to cover this news. So I'm a fan of Divested Zealot. Let me share my screen here. I was trying, this is something that Divested Zealot said, so we're probably going to spread it. Now, what she said was, and I'm going to look a little more into it. She says that this video was put up, Black Women Hit Hard by Crime in Chicago, by CBS 2 Chicago. And then suddenly it was removed and replaced with this video. So we're going to watch the video that it was supposedly replaced with. And what we'll do is we'll look at the comments and see what the comments say. But both videos are now up. We can look at the comments and the reviews, and we can see how many views it's had. So this was played. This is the video that was supposedly, allegedly replaced. In other words, they made a video stating that Black women are the #1 victims of all crime in Chicago. And the claim is that that video got taken down and was replaced with this video. And again, I still find that fascinating. So let's watch the supposed video. And let's see.
And excellence. It's a mantra and the name of, well, brilliance and excellence. It's a mantra and the name of a movement made up of more than 20 organizations that mentor young Black men in Chicago. And this morning, they united for a march against violence. CBS 2's Noel Brennan takes us to the city's South Side, where hundreds of young men filled the streets.
I think a march just opens up eyes. It brings awareness to the community.
When voices are as loud as cars on the street, they're hard to ignore.
We are brilliant. We are excellence.
Vernon Brooks sets the pace and the volume.
Yeah, so over Memorial Day weekend and the following weekend, 100 people were shot and 20 people were dead. And I would say 99% of those were Black, which is what it usually is in most major Democrat-run cities. The Black community is committing an insane amount of violence. I'm from Philly. My co-host is from Chicago. And the black community tears up those two cities. Where were all these motherfuckers at those 2 weekends? And what does this march do? You guys have been marching since the fucking 60s, and you're still the most violent group in America. This doesn't do anything. This is essentially like patting yourself on the back and acting like you did something. Also, where are your kids? Why aren't you taking? I don't understand. If I have a family, I'm not leaving my family to go hang around a bunch of men. That's just not what I'm gonna do. I want to be around my family. Okay.
Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am.
He's up front, helping lead the
Well, not if your brother's white. Then fuck them, right?
Brilliance and Excellence March on Chicago's South Side.
The only way we're going to make a loud voice is to come together and make a chant and march against violence.
This doesn't work.
Some of us used to gang bang. Not no more. Not no more.
The event brings together
Some of you used to gang bang, not no more. It writes itself.
for hundreds of young black men from across the city.
You seeing a bunch of black men marching and unified. We're not killing each other. There's no guns. There's no negative energy. It's all brotherly love.
You're allowed to have guns if you legally purchase them. No offense, but with that many of you around, I don't want to be unarmed. Okay? I mean, to me, this is all for publicity. For the reason, to me, there were no fighting. The reason, to me, all these black men can get together and there was no violence was just because there was cameras there. And that's not always a guarantee.
At Mandrake Park, the march ends and basketball begins with a 3-on-3 tournament.
The march.
Yes, playing basketball is going to stop black teens from carjacking and killing people. That's right. You're not going to try to talk to the kids. You're not going to try to outreach to the kids. You're not going to work at a community rec center. You're not going to work at a job center. You're not going to go to the schools and talk to any of them. There's no outreach. You're going to play ball. You're not going to shake hands with the police. You're not going to say we need the police. You're not going to say when a shooting happens or when you see something, say something. You're going to march and play basketball, and then you're all going to go home and act like you fucking did something. You're not going to tell people in your community to stop the no snitching policy. You're not going to tell people in your community to not murder witnesses. You're not going to tell people to tell on drug dealers. You're not going to tell people to stop fighting in school. Nothing. You marched and you played ball and you did nothing and you accomplished nothing, and still the news acts like this is a big fucking deal. That's because they don't expect anything from your group, from the men in your group. Do you understand?
Was a rallying cry to bring all of our boys and men together to really support Chicago as a community and show that we can unify with each other.
You voted for a mayor, Brendan Johnson, who doesn't even give black boys Fs or homework. He was a teacher. You all voted for him. Do you understand why nobody wants to be around you and nobody wants to live with you? Do you understand?
The message from the march.
He won't punish criminals because they have the same skin color as him. He would punish any other criminal, regardless of what race they were. He would throw the book at them, but if they were black, oh, the poor babies.
Resonates on and off the court.
This is a movement, not a moment.
Young men who take the mic plead for a safe summer.
There's more work that is ahead because the march is not an answer, but it's a one way to solve the solution of violence in the city of Chicago.
And this is another thing I don't understand. You're talking about a very, very super serious topic. You're talking about addressing the uncontrollable violence in your community. this is a distraction. When you're talking about stopping people from killing people, it shouldn't be fun. It shouldn't have music. A bunch of men and women should sit down in a room and say, look, we got to stop this. It has to stop. What can we do? But this is a fucking block party. You're having fun. You're playing games and you're listening to your shit trash music where other black people talk about other black people they've murdered. And your activism is treated like a block party. That doesn't solve anything. And then you pat yourself on the back, and the fucking media acts like you're the next coming of Jesus. And it's disgusting.
16. Adib Borden doesn't have the solution, but he's trying.
We cannot stop people from killing each other or shooting. But what we can do is stop people from.
I like that. Did you see that? See how they show the white woman with the black baby? Where's the father? Where's the father? Fascinating.
We cannot stop people from killing each other or shooting. But what we can do is control or work with the young men, invest in the young men that are willing to be invested into it.
Even if these.
How? What are you going to do? And why does it have to cost the city millions of tax dollars money? Why do we have to pay for your fuck ups? This woman had sex with this kid. The father's not going to be around. Where's the father? I don't know, but let's say that kid grows up to be a gangbanger and starts robbing people and carjacking people at 14. Why do I have to pay for it? Why do you have to take money away from my family because this kid doesn't have a dad? Why do I have to pay for it?
These voices of reason are ignored. They'll keep speaking against violence.
We keep marching, we keep talking, we keep working.
At the end of the march, young people had a chance to connect with community organizations, find out about job opportunities, and other resources available to them in the city. From Mandrake Park,
None of which, and how many of them are paying for? I hate this. I fucking hate this. It's always programs. The answer to you are the black community, black men are the epitome of the sunk cost fallacy. It doesn't matter how many millions and millions of dollars. It doesn't matter how much community outreach and programs and jobs and rec centers and midnight basketball. Black boys and men get clout in their community by being gangbangers, by being killers. And nobody ever wants to talk about it or address it. And this was just a fluff piece. This is, again, it's a block party. It's a march it's a block party masked as a protest. But it was really just an excuse for a bunch of black people to get together, play music, sell t-shirts, get probable stupid white people to invest in their community that will never work. It'll never stop violence. Oh, we need to hire black thugs and black ex-gangbangers and black ex-drug dealers to be a go-between between the community and the kids who are committing all the crime. Because it's not, you can't arrest them. That's slavery. We need to talk to them. And, the police, they're just misunderstood. When they commit drive-bys and they carjack you and they beat old women and take their purses, it's not their fault. This was the fluff piece that DZ said was played. So now let's look at the video where they talk about the larger. This actually has crime stats. Actually, wait, before I do, let me go back. Let's see some of the comments. People in Chicago have been marching against violence for 40 years, and the problem keeps getting worse. Certain people in our city don't think our laws pertain to them, and the politics that pander to them let them get away with breaking the law, or they get ridiculously lenient punishments. Yeah. How many times are they going to do this? We have these marches every couple of months. What behavior do they want to change? This brought tears to my eyes. Sad thing is, not one black entertainer, athlete has stood, speak up, and tried to stop this nonsense. Uh, crime was down 87% during the march. Yeah, no. Shit. All right. So, oh, big time. You're an asshole. You're saying. So, here's what happens. Here's the number one victim of black men. Okay. Everything I just said, all the programs, all the extortion of your taxes because black men don't want to raise their children. Here's the reason why there's a divested movement, why black women are done with black men. You ready? Here's the supposed video that was taken down. We'll read some comments and we'll see. We're going to play this whole video.
A journey investigating injustice in Chicago. The goal is to make the city safer for everyone, but especially for those most impacted by crime.
CBS 2 investigator Dorothy Tucker spotlights a troubling pattern that's been ignored for years. Joins us now live.
Covers some unique facts and figures that reveal for the first time the truth about who criminals are really targeting. It's people who look like me. Our investigation exposes the causes and consequences of black women at risk.
We begin tonight with breaking news. Reports of multiple people shot on the city's west side.
It's all we think about.
Multiple suspects walked up to the victim demanding his car.
Our biggest fear.
Breaking tonight, 14s, 350.
And here's another thing you're not going to hear in the video. Who's attacking them? Who's the perpetrators? They never, ever fucking say who it is. Because they're black. If it's a white person, it's the very first thing they say. And conservatives are weak on this too.
15-year-olds and one 16-year-old all shot while on a front porch.
Being the next
Who shot them?
victim of a crime.
This is the trick the news does. They focus on the victim and not the perpetrator. And we have a story for that.
And stumbled down the Chinatown platform, bleeding from his neck from a gunshot wound.
But what are your chances?
We're not just talking about one or two robberies here. We're talking dozens of them.
Who's really the most at risk? Is it white men, white women, Asians, Hispanics, black men? No, it's not. It's women who look like Tonia Thomas.
It's scary.
According to Chicago police crime data for 2022, when you look at all the offenses, count all the victims, black women are the most at risk.
There. This is what happens when you're a white, liberal faggot and you believe blacks about their fucking bullshit racism. This is what happens when you hamstring the police. This is what happens when you remove someone's ability to use a gun to defend themselves. This is what happens when you remove stand your ground and castle doctrine. Most black women live around black men. Black men are the most violent group of people in the fucking United States. So the number one group of people who will be the most affected by the most violent group of black men will be black women. It's kind of like how in Canada, every 4 years, when they have a re-election, they mention that Native American women are the number one most raped in Canada. But what the news does is they focus on the victim and not the perpetrator. If most Native American women live around Native American men, who's the grapist?
It's not fair.
Unfair because that 67,000 means 25% of crime victims are Black women, but they make up only 16% of Chicago's population. And when the CBS 2 investigators kept digging, we discovered even more disturbing data. Black women represented more than a third of kidnappings, 35% of assaults, 38% of batteries attacked and injured, 40% of rape victims. And let this sink in. Black women are 52% of human trafficking victims. Remember, they're only 16% of the population.
Why aren't these women allowed to defend themselves? What are these women supposed to do? Call 911? Someone breaks in your home and dumb fucking white people have voted away their right to defend themselves or come up with stupid fucking laws like New York and New Jersey with duty to retreat. So in other words, if someone breaks in my home, I have to let them murder me or my family or my children. And if they're Black, well, oh my God, slavery, right? You fucking stupid ass white people. I can't tolerate you. Oh, the poor victims? Black women are the biggest victim. Okay? This is why the divested movement or the divested community exists. 16% of Chicago's population, 40 to 50% of all violent crime, and over half of all the human trafficking. This story didn't make national news, but don't worry. Biden went to Howard University and HBCU and said that white supremacy is the most dangerous thing affecting BIPOC people, right? Joy Reid, Trevor Noah, Rashard Ritchie, TYT will never, ever even fucking touch this video. Fuck all of them.
To have to navigate through life knowing that you'll potentially become a victim of a crime, primarily because of your race and your gender combined. It's not fair.
Thomas survived a rape.
This is all the paperwork from the hospital.
But she still feels the pain.
What happened to me, it won't go away.
Recordings just.
Oh, thank God we have a fucking ad. Funny, I don't remember the Men's March getting an ad.
It happened here, this West Side apartment building, at a friend's party.
I did have a couple of drinks, but nothing too crazy.
Pictures of a happy, smiling Thomas were taken just minutes before she felt dizzy and went to the bathroom. The police report details the horrors of the criminal's sexual assault.
I remember being in the bathroom with my the person who assaulted me, and I remember just trying to get out of the restroom, but I couldn't get out.
The car was parked actually right there on the corner, right before the stop sign.
Even when it comes to nonviolent crimes and reports where police record race, Black women,
I couldn't believe it,
like Evelyn Sparks, are targets. Black women account for 24%.
By who? The news is complicit. Who targets them? Jesus. Who targets them? If they were white, this would be national fucking news. So you know who it is.
4% of property thefts, arson 28%, car thefts 29%. Again, they're only 16% of the population.
You could see it out the window.
A 2019 Kia.
I parked it there every day.
But in less than 10 minutes, it was gone. Photos of a trashed Kia found by police an hour later.
Somebody that takes something that you work.
Well, yeah, Black teens are the Kia boys. Black teens have learned how to use like a phone jack and hijack and steal Kias and Hyundais, and they film themselves on Instagram. And the response by Black people like Baltimore is instead of punishing Black kids, they sue Kia and Hyundai because they can't fathom responsibility or punishing Black children, however you say it.
So hard for it just makes you feel very violated.
Why are they targets? Because they're, if you want to call it, easy prey. Yes, yeah.
Geneva Brown is a professor of criminology at DePaul University.
We just had an unfortunate Officer Preston who was killed. She was on her way home at 1:40 in the morning, and she
All right. I'm going to let it play while I'm looking up something. One sec.
was a target of a robbery. Disproportionately, Black women are working third shift jobs. Black women are in communities where there is a lack of a middle class, a lack of a economic foundation that would deter this type of behavior.
Where they live, when they work, and listen to this, how they are perceived by criminals put a target on the backs of Black women.
You know that you're in a neighborhood where crime is the norm and not the exception. You're in a neighborhood where you know that the police are slow to respond. It creates that atmosphere where, unfortunately, you have people who feel empowered to become bolder or to continue to commit offenses until they're caught.
Why does it always have to be me? When do I get a break? When can I have some peace? I hear those words quite often in the work that I do.
Gabrielle Molden Carwell works as a trauma therapist, helping Black women cope with their emotional pain.
It's disheartening.
Pause. Ariana Preston. Okay. This police officer was murdered.
People who feel empowered.
How they are perceived by criminals put a target on the backs of Black women.
You know that you're in a neighborhood where crime is the norm and not the exception. You're in a neighborhood where you know that the police are slow to respond. It creates that atmosphere.
Yeah, because people potentially like you voted to defund them. Why don't you ever say that? And now you complain they don't save you?
Fear where, unfortunately, you have people who feel empowered to become at 1:40 in the morning, and she was a target of a robbery.
Right here. This police officer. This is an example of the best of you getting killed by the worst of you. Who killed her? Oh, target in a robbery. Oh, time out. I fucking hate the news. There. See? That's who killed her. 3 Black guys. Why can't they say that? They saw a woman, got out of their car, and shot her and killed her. Why can't they say that? There, I fixed it for you. One more time, in case anybody missed it. Who killed Ariana Preston? These motherfuckers did. The same people killing all the women in Chicago and committing all the crimes against them. Majority, like 99%. Black men. Jesus. Don't you get tired of the fucking media covering for them? Don't you get tired of it? Let's keep going.
Disproportionately. You have people.
Did this woman vote for Brandon Johnson? Did she vote for Joe Biden? Did she vote for defund the police? Did she believe that George Floyd was just an innocent man buying them? Like, are you kidding me? Why do you protect the people who murder all your friends? What is that psychology? And we're gonna show that.
Who feel empowered to become bolder or to continue to commit offenses until they're caught.
Why does it always have to be me? When do I get a break? When can I have some peace? I hear those words quite often in the work that I do.
Gabrielle Molden Carwell works as a trauma therapist, helping Black women cope with their emotional pain.
It's disheartening and it causes self-doubt because something must be wrong with me.
She knows the trauma of sexual assault, not just because she treats survivors.
I've seen it in my mom.
She's lived with it.
I've seen it in my grandmother on my mom's side. I've seen it for myself.
And how old were you?
I was 12.
In the year 2000, when this photo of a carefree little girl posed for the camera, masking her torture.
It went on for about 6 months or so. I was angry. I was heartbroken.
It's very aggravating.
Rage keeps me up at night a lot.
How long have Black women been
Time out. Who did it? What the fuck? You just told me a 12-year-old girl was raped. Who did it? Aren't you tired of this? What is the point of saying this happened? What about the person who did it? Don't you want them in prison forever?
overrepresented?
Oh, thank God, another ad. Oh, thank you, YouTube.
The CBS 2 investigators went searching for answers. We looked at every crime, every victim, not just 1 or 2 years, not 3 or 4. We went back 21 years. CBS 2 investigative data journalist Elliot Ramos crunched the numbers.
The stuff is buried in like statistical reports that come out every year.
But it's here, the latest, pages 79 to 81.
You got batteries, you got robberies.
Ramos combined the crime data
by day of week, by location type,
with race, sex, and age from police reports.
It was surprising at how consistently Black women in particular were over-indexed in relation to the population, like year after year after year.
The revelation, Black women have always suffered more than others. A surprising fact?
I was 16 when all of that was going on.
No one suffers more than young Black girls under 18. A perfect picture of a thriving high school junior at Little Village until she dated the wrong boyfriend.
I remember like him grabbing my arm and he swung on me and hit me. He was very violent.
Who was? I can't fucking stand this. Who?
Was very mentally abusive. All of that was very traumatic.
Oh, it was a Korean, right?
From 2001 to
I know Koreans are no. Oh wait.
2022, for every white girl attacked and injured, there were 18 Black girls hurt.
I decided.
Let me show that graphic again. Let's hear that one more time.
From 2001 to 2022, for every white girl attacked and injured, there were 18 Black girls hurt.
Why isn't this national news? Where's Joy Reid? Why isn't this on The View right now? Oh, that's right. Because Black men are protected. I have one more story because I can't tolerate this. This is pissing me off too much.
I decided like I wanted to take some pills. I no longer was getting the A and B's that I wanted. So if my grades began to drop, I felt very burdened. And so I no longer wanted to feel burdened.
I feel like this is just as bad as the war on drugs, right? Like everything went shut down for that. But what about these crimes?
But for Black women disproportionately targeted by crime, there is no special task force, no mayoral commission.
We talk about big picture stuff. We talk about, hot topics, but Black female victimization is not a hot topic.
But you're part of the fucking problem, you dumb mammy. How do you bring up the crimes when not talking about the criminal? God, look at the fucking gaslighting here. Chicago voted for Kim Foxx, who doesn't punish Black boys. A 6-month-old baby, a Latino baby, was killed when 2 Black teens stole a car. She gave them 6 months criminal trespass. The Black community voted for her, and so did the dumbass liberal progressive faggoty whites in Chicago. You voted for Lori Lightfoot. You voted for Benjamin Johnson. What's the new mayor? Then you defunded the police. Chicago's down, 500 police officers? And then these statistics come out. Well, yeah, you don't punish black men when they commit violent crime. You call it racism. Well, if more criminals are in your community, more crime is going to affect you. And you are part of the problem. You don't say who's doing it. So this is all a big circle jerk. Let's read the comments. Who are the main people targeting black women? Go ahead, say it. Black men. Go on, say it. The fact that this was posted earlier than taken down is horrifying. It's as if black women's lives aren't as important as this news channel says it is. Black women are being killed, harmed, abused by black men primarily. How hard is it to say that? Our deaths aren't just some spontaneous event that occurs. I agree. This isn't a Chicago issue, it's a national issue, and the numbers are much higher. Why didn't the news mention the demographic of the people informing the majority of these crimes? Black men. This is why defunding police and replacing with community policing is dangerous. Who will they call for help? Can't trust the men in their own community. Right. But don't worry. Don't allow these women to carry, right? Don't allow these women to defend themselves or their children. Guns are bad, right? I haven't met a single rape victim that didn't wish that she had a gun. Do you know that? And don't worry. Don't worry. White people are to blame as well. White, liberal, progressive, faggoty whites are just as to blame. Let's see. Here we go. Here's a black woman who ran over and murdered and killed a white woman. And her family's like, oh, we'll always remember her. It's the same.
Learned this in court today. Some pretty interesting information that came from the judge.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So the Mammy judge.
Absolutely, that information coming from the judge. Very surprising now that DDOT worker who's charged with hitting and killing Janice Bauer of Grosse Pointe Park is facing...
So what's the trick the media does? The media will focus on the victim and they won't show anybody being angry that they're dead. Unless, especially if they're white. If they're black, it's okay, but they still kind of don't like it because blacks are just allowed to murder everybody.
Could face up to a year behind bars. She has more than 25 years on the job.
Wow, a year. Oh, you ran over somebody with the bus. You might get a year in prison. Black privilege is the ability to break every law in a society and still somehow be seen as the victim.
Could face up to a year behind bars. She has more than 25 years on the job. Meanwhile, Bauer's loved ones laid her to rest yesterday. Tonight, they're remembering her life. Take a look.
We just want to pass along our sincerest condolences to her family, and she'll be sorely missed.
Pictured here in her obituary, those who knew Janice Bauer remember her as a caring person who spent her life loving the city of Detroit.
She was one of our best ambassadors. You know,
Yeah, like her death was a natural thing. Like she died peacefully in her... She was run over by a bus. Look how pacified my people are. Look how fucking weak. This woman was run over by a fucking bus. You're acting like she died in her sleep and the angels carried her to heaven. I hope you get carjacked, pistol whipped, and shot.
She'd be out in the community talking with her friends, talking
by
with
the same people you think are little innocent victims.
You know, people who might not have ever come to the Detroit Historical Museum, and suggesting that they visit.
Tracy Irwin of the Detroit Historical Society says Bauer was a member for 25 years and a dedicated volunteer.
Very cheerful. You know,
Who was run over by a bus. Oh my God. I hate these white. I don't want to live around any of these white people. It's white people like this that make me want to move to fucking Alaska and live in the woods. Because you're fucking useless.
think Janice is someone that you remember for her smile and her energy, her enthusiasm about Detroit's history.
Bauer's obituary says she also worked for the Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transportation, or SMART, as a dependable ADA clerk. But now,
We're so sad to not have her part of our community anymore.
Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy says DDOT bus driver Geraldine Johnson ran Bauer over with a bus as Bauer crossed the street. Investigators say Johnson hit Bauer while turning left at the intersection of Griswold and West Congress back on June 2nd. Then on Wednesday in court.
Stop killing my people.
So the court does find you to be a danger.
Johnson's surprising driving record came to light when she went before a judge.
2015, you were involved in a traffic crash resulting in a fatal injury. That there have been
Oh, that wasn't the first person she killed?
crashes either with a bus or your personal vehicle in 2018, 2 in 19, 1 in 20, 1 in 21, 1 in 22, and then we have this matter today.
Did you hear that? What was that, 7? So she already killed somebody else. What was that, 6, 7 other crashes? Let's go back.
2015, you were involved in a traffic crash resulting in a fatal injury. That there have been crashes either with a bus or your personal vehicle in 2018, 2 in 19, 1 in 20, 1 in 21, 1 in 22, and then we have this matter today.
Geraldine.
Wow. All those accidents. So she already killed somebody else. Fatal crash, 2015. 5 or 6 accidents. I mean, if she can't drive a car, she can't drive a bus. Does that logic make sense? Or is my logic a construct of white supreme pizza? Go ahead. Let's hear how she's the victim.
Johnson should not have been still driving a bus, in my opinion. I've handled hundreds of buses.
You're weak. She should be in prison. The whole fucking the department, the transportation department of Detroit should be fucking sued until they're bankrupt. This woman is dead because black privilege. Oh, she killed someone else? Oh, it's okay. Let her keep driving because black. Fascinating. Stop killing my people.
I've handled hundreds of bus accidents over the last 30 years.
How many of them were black?
And I don't know if I've seen quite a disaster of a driving record like this person.
Johnson is now charged with moving violation causing death. That charge, attorney Mike Morris says, is a misdemeanor.
That's right. She can kill a white woman with a bus and she'll get a year in prison. Let that sink in. I can understand people who maybe fell for the Floyd and the BLM, but now that you're seeing the way things are, if you do it again, just do me a favor, take a millstone, that's what my avatar is, put it on your neck, and jump in the fucking ocean. Don't have children. You're too weak to raise and protect them.
If you have any moving violation and cause death, you could be sentenced, if found convicted, up to a year. So this isn't a felony where she could be put in prison for many, many years.
Now, as Johnson awaits her next court date in August, Irwin says we should take away 2 lessons from Bauer's life.
If you have an enthusiasm and an excitement for something, get involved.
Look at this. This is why this woman should not be allowed to vote. This woman was run over by a bus, and you're acting. Are all your friends run over by blacks? Is it just that normal where you live? No, nothing. She looks like she's on Xanax, for Christ's sakes. Is she on drugs? Look how glazed over her eyes look. If my family member was run over by a bus, I would probably get some rope and be like, okay, let me know when she's found guilty. I can take care of the rest. But that's okay. That's okay. Black privilege is real. Anyway, I'm big time. That's news to me.